Yes. So counseling techniques, this is our topic. And you all know that we have been using lots of techniques during counseling. There are lots of therapeutic techniques. There are a lot of other simple techniques which we generally use during counseling, during intervention part. Can someone name some of the techniques which you use during counseling sessions? In the chat box, quickly name some of the techniques which you use during counseling sessions. The popular techniques which you use during counseling sessions at any part. Okay, I'm talking about techniques and not therapy. Okay, so yes, CBT, solution focus, these are therapies. Yes, empty chair, miracle cushioning, non-directive cushioning, JPMR, scaling, wonderful. And what about others? Yes, empty chair, PMRT, yes. And thought stop technique, yes, true. What are other techniques? Yes, mindfulness, confrontation, wonderful. Yes, very true, very true. So all these are the techniques which we generally use during counseling session. Exposure technique, very true. And okay, so you all know about lots of therapeutic techniques, but right now we are going to discuss more such techniques which would be very helpful, and we undermine the use of these techniques. Yes, exception is again one of the technique, role playing, wonderful. Yes. So let's start with some other new techniques which will definitely help you in your practice. So the first technique which we are going to discuss is this one, spheres of influence. This is one of the technique where we ask the individual, this is kind of an assessment tool to understand that where the problem is in client's life. There are lots of areas in a client's life, in our life, which influences us. It may be our work life, family life, any other. There are a lot of things. Relationship with others. So what we do here in this technique is we try to help them to mention the areas of their life. What are the different areas of their life? This is the first thing. And then which area is impacting them or influencing them in which way? Is it strengthening them? Is it stressing them? So the person's job is to figure out which systems in their life give them strength and which ones give them stress. Some of the spheres of influence to consider are themselves. What are the things in themselves which influence them? Immediate family, friends, husband or wife, extended family, job or school, community, culture or religion, and any external influences which can influence them. This is one thing which will help you to assess. Okay, I'll use both Hindi and English. I'll be bilingual. So it helps to assess which of the area is more significant in causing problem and which are the areas which is giving strength to our client. So this is how we try to determine using this technique spheres of life. Spheres of life influence, sorry. Spheres of influence एक ऐसी टेक्निक है जो हमें हेल्प करती है ये जानने में कि क्लाइंट के कौन से एरिया, लाइफ के कौन से एरिया में प्रॉब्लम है और कौन सा एरिया ऐसा है लाइफ का जो उन्हें स्ट्रेंथ देता है. तो जिसमें प्रॉब्लम है उसको हम सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं, उसमें हम सॉल्यूशन डिस्कस करते हैं, और जहां पर उसको स्ट्रेंथ मिलती है हम उस स्ट्रेंथ को यूज करके उस प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं. This is how we use this technique and definitely it is going to help a lot. कभी कभी क्या होता है, क्लाइंट्स हमारे साथ बहुत सारी चीजें शेयर करते हैं और हम एज्यूम करके बैठते हैं कि क्लाइंट को यहाँ से प्रॉब्लम है. तो वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू एज्यूम एनीथिंग. व्हाट वी हैव टू डू इज हम उनसे ही पूछेंगे कि कौन से एरियाज हैं. पहले आप लिस्ट बना के उनको स्पेसिफाई करवा सकते हैं कौन से एरियाज हैं क्लाइंट की लाइफ में और वो कैसे इन्फ्लुएंस कर रहे हैं. Okay, they may टेल यू ओरली, बट आप उसको एक वर्कशीट की तरह नोट करेंगे या उनको नोट करवाएंगे. This is how we can use this simple technique during the counseling session. And believe me, it is going to help a lot. इससे हम क्या होगा, हम सॉर्ट आउट कर पाएंगे कौन से एरिया में सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम है, कौन सा ऐसा एरिया है which gives the client a lot of strength, and that strength can be used in other problematic areas as well. किसके साथ सबसे अच्छा रिलेशन है, दो ड्यूरिंग केस हिस्ट्री वी गेट टू नो लॉट ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन, हम बहुत सारे इंफॉर्मेशन लेते हैं, बट आप कभी कभी देखेंगे क्लाइंट्स को पता नहीं होता कि, या हमें ही देखो अपने ऊपर लेके देखिए, हमें नहीं पता होता कहाँ सबसे ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम आ रही है. वे कभी कभी हमारी इंटरनल होती है प्रॉब्लम, इंटरनल प्रॉब्लम्स की वजह से हमें कितनी भी बाहर की चीजें होती हैं वो प्रॉब्लमैटिक ही लगती हैं. सो ऐसे में हम क्या करते हैं, इंटरनल और एक्सटर्नल को दो में डिवाइड करते हैं, इंटरनल एक्सटर्नल. इंटरनल में क्या, bodily related things, our career, our situation, our like health issues, all these things we mention. And then in external, our relationships with friends, family में we specify the members, husband or wife, है ना, or any parents or anyone else, we specify. So how is your relationship? What are the things in these areas which give you strength, and what are the areas which give you stress? So this is how we help them mention. And even if you can use scaling in this particular technique, like if internal physical health, suppose physical health is giving them strength, तो how much strength on a scale of 1 to 10 कितना वो आपको strength provide कर रहा है, ये हम उनसे पूछते हैं, कितनी strength it is providing to them. This can also be done. Okay. So, okay, those people who are saying in English, some are saying in Hindi. So I'll be bilingual in the same thing. The one which I say in English, I'll be repeating that in Hindi. जो मैं इंग्लिश में बोलूंगी वही चीज मैं हिंदी में रिपीट करूंगी. आई होप ये आपकी प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर लेगी. Now, this is one technique. The second technique is clarification. Again, this is very important. हम इसको अंडरमाइन करते हैं, या कभी कभी क्लाइंट, हमें लगता है हमारे, अब वी हैव गेन्ड लॉट्स ऑफ नॉलेज, अब हमने बहुत सारी नॉलेज गेन कर ली है, अब तो हम देखते ही क्लाइंट को बता देंगे कि क्या प्रॉब्लम है ना. वी थिंक दैट वील जस्ट सी द क्लाइंट, विल हियर द क्लाइंट एंड विल टेल दैट व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम विद द क्लाइंट, बट ऐसा नहीं होता. समटाइम्स वी फॉल इन द ट्रैप ऑफ अजम्पशन. तो हमें अजम्पशन नहीं करनी है, अजम्पशन के ट्रैप में नहीं फंसना हमें. What we have to do is we need to clarify from the client. Whatever the client says, they say a lot of things. Sometimes what we can do is we can ask them, we can clarify what they are trying to tell them to make sure they understand the situation correctly. This will help the counselor avoid any kind of misconceptions or avoid them having to make any assumptions that could hinder their feedback. So to avoid all these assumptions, to avoid all these misconceptions, it is important that you clarify it. ये बहुत जरूरी है कि आप क्लाइंट से क्लैरिफाई कर लें कि वो क्या कहना चाहते हैं, और क्लैरिफाई हम उनको दोबारा पूछ कर सकते हैं. अगर आपको लगता है कि क्लाइंट आपसे बार बार बोल रहे हैं, बार बार वो चीजें बोल रहे हैं, तो आपने इस टाइम पर क्या करना है, आप उन्हें नोट डाउन कर लेंगे. लाइक दे आर कॉन्टिन्यूअसली सेइंग थिंग्स, but you are not getting a chance to ask them. Okay, and you are not getting a chance to ask them the questions. So आप ऐसे में क्या करेंगे, उस पॉइंट को नोट डाउन करेंगे ताकि आप क्वेश्चंस पूछ सके. Okay, this is the second technique. Now the third technique, very important, client expectations. What are client expectations? Have you ever asked your client what are their expectations? Yes? In the chat box, what are their expectations? I'm not talking about goals. Goals are something different. They are counseling goals. Yes. Yes. Okay. Clients' expectations. Problem solving. Okay. I used to ask. Okay. Fine. So when we talk about clients' expectations, when a person enters therapy, they should voice their opinions about counseling and their beliefs about treatment. And many of the clients do it right now. You might have seen, I encounter a lot of clients who ask me, ma'am, like doctor has told me to seek counseling. What will you do during counseling sessions? What is that session like? हम क्या करेंगे सेशन में? आप कोई मेडिसिन देंगे? आप क्या करेंगे सेशन में? ट्रीटमेंट कैसे होगा? बातों से आप ट्रीटमेंट करोगे? All these are the questions client generally ask. Then in the beginning, they should be able to communicate with their counselor as to what they expect to get out of counseling. This can help the counselor guide and direct their counseling accordingly. See, goals we make, हम goals तब बनाते हैं जब क्लाइंट एंटर हो जाता है काउंसलिंग सेशन में. काउंसलिंग सेशन में एंटर होने के बाद when they are telling the problems, and then we just identify the problem and then we help the client to make goals. But when we say client expectations, ये स्टार्टिंग में होता है जब हम उनसे पूछते हैं कि वो काउंसलिंग के थ्रू क्या चाहते हैं. सी, प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकता है वो बहुत सारी बताएं, आपको बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स बताएंगे, बट हो सकता है कि वो जिस लिए आए हैं, जो जिस पर्टिकुलर चीज के लिए आए हैं, वो उन्होंने हाईलाइट नहीं की हो. बट अगर आप एज्यूम करके गोल बना देंगे, हेल्प कर देंगे उनके गोल बनाने में कि अच्छा तो आप चाहते हैं दिस, तो इट विल नॉट हेल्प आउट. क्लाइंट विल नॉट बी सेटिस्फाइड. सो दिस इज द रीजन इट्स important that you ask for the client's expectations, what they want and why they have come in the counseling session. Yes, Miss Hiral, I'll take the questions in the end. If you want to ask any question, please write it in the chat box. I'll keep on seeing the chat box. So this is about client expectation. Now, the next technique, which we have already mentioned, it confrontation. Confrontation is again an important technique, but it is not used every time. This does not mean the client confronting the therapist or vice versa. Confrontation that should happen here is within the client. Client should be able to self-examine themselves during counseling. However, the speed at which they do this should be discussed between the counselor and the client. Confrontation does not mean confronting the therapist or confronting the client or therapist confronting the client. It just means that what they are able to see in themselves. Are they able to examine that, yes, there are some changes happening due to counseling? With which speed they are able to see it. So that is confrontation. And when the client is able to examine, self-examine, and he is able to tell it to the therapist, that is exactly confrontation. They are able to confront in front of therapist, or therapist able to confront in front of client that yes, this is what happening or this is going to happen. Next technique is congruence. You might have heard about this as counseling technique, as one of the counseling skill. So congruence, when we say, what is congruence in your language? Yes? What is congruence? Can anybody unmute and tell what is congruence?
Giving genuine feedbacks.
Okay. And?
What we believe and what we talk should go in congruence.
Yes, true. It should be in line. What we believe and what we do, it should be in line, should be congruent. Totally in line. The counselor, the therapist should be genuine with their feedbacks, with their beliefs about their client situation and progress. The more authentic and truer they are with their counseling, the more that their client work to grow and benefit from their help. Suppose, example, client is coming to the therapist, and therapist in the first session, suppose in the first session, the therapist is showing all the skills, genuineness, congruent, but during the frequent sessions, other session, the client feels that the therapist is not genuine. They are not listening to me properly. Maybe the therapist, maybe suppose for the first session, the therapist has given 1 hour, 15 minutes extra time. Now, what is happening in the subsequent session? The therapist is giving exactly 1 hour or maybe 55 minutes, even 5 minutes less. Now, this is not congruency. In the first session, when you had to take the money, the amount, the fee, then you are giving extra time. And then in subsequent session, you are giving them less time. Because now they are born to come. Suppose it's kind of a, you have taken fees for 5 sessions, 6 sessions together. In case when you take this fees together. This is one example. Similarly, there can be different examples where the counselor is not showing genuineness. Maybe they are more inclined towards the notification in the mobile phone which is coming, or they have something other things in their mind which is reflected to the client. So that does not show genuineness. The client will not be able to trust the therapist. They won't be able to tell the things they want to tell, or even if they tell, they may not believe them. They may not trust them. And again, the relationship would be the relationship would be spoiled. And then the healing may not be occurred properly. Isn't it? So this is another technique, congruence, which you need to show. You might have heard that if a counselor, if a client, if a therapist shows counseling skills appropriately, uses all their counseling skills appropriately, it solves 50% of the problem. Only by being genuine, by being authentic, having good relationship with the client, a very good rapport building, paraphrasing, reflecting their emotions, all these counseling skills, when the counselor is using appropriately, it will solve 50% of the client's problem. Your client would need your genuineness. They want somebody who is genuinely interested in solving the problem, in in helping them come out of the situation. That is what we need. Then core conditions. I hope you are able to see the screen. The core conditions. This is a technique which goes over some essential traits that the counselor needs to integrate, like positive regard. We all know how much positive regard is important. Empathy. What is empathy? In the chat box, everyone, let's discuss what is empathy. Though we discussed in the last session, empathy. Many of you might not be present in the last session. Can you write in the chat box what is empathy? Yes, quickly. In short. Yes, understand without sympathy, okay? Okay, can we state it in positive terms? Understand with something. What is that? Connect with the situation, feeling and finding solution to see through someone's shoes. Okay. And okay, connect with the situation to feel what the client is feeling. Okay. Putting yourself in the other person's shoes. Yes. Correct, Anita? Yes, true. So putting yourself in another person's shoes is empathy, and coming out of those shoes is also empathy, right? Yes, in a non-judgmental way. Very true. So when we are able to put ourselves in other person's shoes, in our client's shoes, means sorry, we are able to see their condition from their viewpoint. That is empathy. So empathy is very important. We don't use sympathy when we are into the counseling session. Congruence, genuineness, warmth. All these skills are very important. You may ask me, how do we show warmth? How do we show positive regard? You can show them in verbal as well as non-verbal way. Even nodding your head while they are saying something. If they are sad, saying, okay, I can understand. All these are the things which will help the client to understand that you are showing positive regard, you are genuine, and you are empathetic to their problem. So these are some of the ways. You can use some verbal ways also, short verbal ways. Don't be too long, too explanatory. Don't use explanatory terms while showing them that you are genuine or while showing that you have understood the problem. While summarizing, you can use, but not in the during the time when they are sharing something or when they are saying something about the past or something. So that way we don't use any explanatory language. Next technique is encouraging. Being encouraging as a counselor for your client is an essential technique that will help facilitate confidence. In many of the cases, you might feel that your client is not at all encouraged to do something, though they have insight that there is a problem, but they are not at all confident or not at all encouraged, motivated to do something for their problem. Or maybe they are not at all able to do it. So ऐसे में encouraging technique बहुत ज़रूरी है. As a counselor, हमें उन्हें encourage करना है. You can even use some positive reinforcement. You can even compliment their strengths. उनके जो assets हैं, उनकी strengths हैं, उससे related आप उन्हें compliment कर सकते हैं, reinforce कर सकते हैं. Okay? So this technique asks that the counselor focus on the client's strengths and assets to help them see themselves in a positive light. This will help with the client's progression. When you will focus on the client's positives, when you will focus on the client's strengths and assets, definitely it is going to encourage them. And this is a very important thing we do during counseling. Encourage the client. It's very important. So when they are encouraged, they keep on doing the task. I'll tell you about one of my client. There was one client who came with me with extreme problem, who told me that he has this extreme problem, some like depersonalization kind of thing, derealization, dissociative identity problems. So what happened? When we came into the session, it was not the problem. There were a lot of things going on in his life. So because of that, he was feeling that these are the symptoms. Also, he had been addicted to alcohol, joint, smoking, all these things he was taking. And he told me that I don't have anything to do, so I just go with friends and take it. And I'm not addicted. He says that I'm not addicted, but I just go whenever I am free. And he's always free. And he was always free and he used to go to friends daily. But he was not believing that he is addicted. Then what happened? धीरे धीरे he just want to know whether he has this problem जो उसने search किया था Google पे और उसे symptoms इन सारी चीजों से dissociative problem से लगे, तो उसे पता चला कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. We had the assessment, I talked to him, he had proper insight, बस उसे addiction से related नहीं थी, which I didn't directly told him. मैंने उसको directly नहीं बताया कि आपको addiction है या इसके after effects हैं, but धीरे धीरे जब हम आगे बढ़े counseling session में, तो उसको रियलाइज होने लगा यस दीज आर द आफ्टर इफेक्ट्स, क्योंकि हर सेशन में बाकी उसका डाइट ठीक था, ही हैज अ वेरी गुड डाइट, गुड स्लीप, दो स्लीप वाज अफेक्टेड बट इन जनरल ही हैड गुड स्लीप, he was eating well, he was not into anything else, he used to he was intellectual, he used to read books, he used to watch movies, बहुत intellectual था. He had a very good knowledge also regarding lots of things. So धीरे धीरे जब हम आगे बढ़े सेशन में, when he got to know कि मुझे ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ये जो dissociative problems है ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है मुझे, because I told him कि it's kind of that you are not motivated, you don't have purpose in your life to do anything. When you will be able to create a purpose in your life, everything will be sorted out. So we started working on the purpose. हमने उस पे start किया. But जैसे जैसे हम start कर रहे थे, उसके पास की चीजें hurdle बनकर आ रही थी. उसके childhood things, past में उसकी girlfriend के issues, he had depression during past. तो ये सारे issues बार बार बीच में आ रहे थे और उसको परेशान कर रहे थे और हम आगे नहीं बढ़ पा रहे थे. Then what he was doing is, he was telling me, ma'am, this is happening with me. This is happening. He used to tell me the technique which I learned in the last session, I was going to do this and this happened. Because of this, it was not working. So वो हर चीज को analyze करके मुझे बता रहा था. He was so supportive and he was able to understand. But वो जो hurdles आ रहे थे, वो काम नहीं कर रहे थे. So I keep on encouraging him. I just encouraged him. I taught him the new skills. I keep on encouraging him that yes, at least you are doing it. Definitely it is going to work soon. Keep on doing, keep on doing. Because there was a time when he was tired of using different techniques. पूरी तरह solution नहीं मिल रहा था उसको, और he was in quest of getting solution from all these problems. तो हमने different techniques use की. Finally हमने empty chair technique use की and it helped him a lot. उसके जो past issues थे वो सारे solve हो गए. जो भी उसके hurdles काम कर रहे थे वो बहुत solve हो गए. And he was able to feel strengthened. Encouraging was one of the technique I keep on using. When you might be thinking कि encouraging ही तो है, वो तो हम करते ही हैं client को. But you need to understand that there are different points in the counseling session, different stages, different phases in the counseling session when we have to deliberately encourage them. जब हम problem identification से goal की तरफ जाते हैं, encourage them. जब हम goal set करते हैं, finally goal set हो जाते हैं, then encourage them. During intervention, even if they are trying something, encourage them. Don't make them feel कि आपने ये नहीं किया, homework नहीं किया, ऐसा नहीं किया. Keep on encouraging them. When they are able to complete the task, encourage them. Okay? When they are not able to do the task, encourage them. So at many points, we keep on encouraging them. Then the next technique is engagement. What is this? Engagement. Engagement. Can anyone tell what is engagement? On a part of counselor, engagement is very necessary. If you use mobile phone during the session, if you keep on taking break, अगर आपका ध्यान कहीं और है, तो इससे पता चलेगा that you are not engaged in the session. As a therapist, having a good yet professional relationship with your client is essential. Good relationship, but it should be professional. Right? Yes, true, Miss Anita. Encouragement to participate in some meaningful activity. Yes, this can also be done. So engagement means not only engaging them in activity, but also as a therapist, make a good relationship with your client. However, there are bound to be difficult moments in counseling session which will require influential engagement on the counselor's behalf. Engagement here does not only mean engaging the client in different activities, but to show you are engaged in the session. Bonding with the client, we can say, yes, good relationship. Yes, being committed is a good word. Good rapport with the client, yes. Being committed can be a very good word for engagement. So this is how we engage during the sessions. And when there comes a difficult time, genuinely encourage them. I'll tell you what I do. I, uh, though we don't give permission to the client to always call us, message us, we just take appointment that yes, we will be meeting on this appointment, and then don't keep on calling us. ऐसा तो नहीं होता ना कि वो हमें कॉल करते रहते हैं. They keep on calling us and telling us अभी ये हुआ, ऐसा हुआ. ऐसा नहीं होता. So sometimes when there comes some difficult times during client's life, so I give them permission. Whenever you feel like you want to share something to me or it will help in the further counseling session, you can send me an audio or a WhatsApp message. And accordingly, I'll reply to it. तो वो मुझे send करते हैं. During the counseling sessions also, हमें बहुत सारे ऐसे clients होंगे who will feel like it's very difficult for them. They may start crying. They may start having panic attacks or maybe any other things. They are not able to share their things. वो choking बहुत हो रही है. They get so emotionally high that it gets choked. They are not able to express. During that time, show your engagement. Be committed to them. You have already made rapport with them, but now it's the time that you are totally engaged, totally into the client. That is the thing. That is one of the good technique which you can use during the sessions. Then comes focusing. This technique involves the counselor demonstrating that they understand what their client is experiencing by using non-judgmental attention without any words. That is focusing, non-judgmental attention. You are listening to them. You're saying, yes, okay. Then this shows focusing. Okay, then what happened? Okay, then you told me this. Then all these are the ways in which you can show that you are totally focused into your clients' things which they are telling you. And it should be a non-judgmental attention. You don't every time has to use lots of words. Focusing can help the counselor determine what the client needs to obtain next from their services. So this is what we do. Then comes immediacy. What is immediacy? Immediacy. Immediacy, there comes a time when the client would need you. So this technique features the counselor speaking openly about something that is occurring in the present moment. This helps the client learn from their real life experiences and apply this to their reactions for other past situations. There would come lots of times when the client had to act immediately in certain situations. If you would go slow, then it may spoil the moment or it may have adverse effects. In that case, the counselor tells openly, this is the situation and this might happen. Now, this can be done, or we can explore during the same session, that what did you do in similar situations which happened in the past. Can you do same thing right now so that you can immediately deal with the problem? That is immediacy. Then comes listening skills. We all know about it. Listening is very important. And when you genuinely listen to your client, it will definitely help you to build good rapport with your client. And also, you would be able to engage with your client. Counselor should show attentiveness. There are many non-verbal ways in which you can show that you are listening to your client. Some of the ways are in your body language. How is your body language? If you are sitting like this, it will not show them that you are listening openly. You are not open to listen to them in a non-judgmental way. If you are leaning like this, okay, you are just relaxing and listening to them like this, then also it is not a good body language. So you need to sit little leaning forward with your open hands on the lap, or if you're writing something, your legs should also not be crossed. These are some of the ways. Generally, we sit in squarely. Everyone know what is squarely? We sit in a square form, or we can say L-shaped. Like this. Client and the counselor sit like this. You will be able to observe your client. You will be able to listen to your client and show that you are listening. This is one of the non-verbal ways. Other ways are summarizing. When you summarize the things which your client says, then they would be able to understand, oh, my counselor was listening to me genuinely. They were listening to me attentively. Capping and matching are other techniques which we are going to discuss. Then next technique is open-ended questions. Okay, which question is influential and would be effective? I am telling you 2 questions. Was your day good or bad? How was your day? Which type of question should we ask? Was your day good or bad? How was your day? Let me know quickly in the chat box. How was your day? Okay, say, how was your day? First question is, was your day good or bad? And the second is, how was your day? Yes. Second one is, how was your day? So this is how we ask, and this is important. Generally, what happens? We fall into close-ended questions and we give them options. Okay, तो वो अच्छे थे या बुरे थे? Was they good or bad? Was it right or wrong? तो ये सारे closed-ended questions हैं. During counseling sessions, we need to ask open-ended questions. Open-ended question helps the client to give more details related to the discussion. Close-ended closes the conversation. We don't get anything else which they might tell us or which can be useful for further things. So, open-ended questions are more reliable because they give us more chance to explore the client's beliefs, their feelings, their emotions. Open-ended questions. So please remember, then comes paraphrasing. This is another technique. When we listen to the client, this paraphrasing techniques will show the clients that the counselor is listening to their information and processing what they have been telling them. It's not that client is only saying the things, but they are actually listening and are able to paraphrase. It's also good to reiterate or clarify any misinformation that might have occurred. When you use this paraphrasing technique, you actually tell the things which your client has told you in a very short way. And then if you think that you are not able to understand anything, and if your client think that there is something which is missing, which you have told them, then they can clarify you. They can add that thing to you. Next is positive asset search. Positive asset search. The name itself tells us what this technique is. A positive technique which is used by counselors help clients think up their positive strengths and attributes to get them into a strong mindset about themselves. When we talk about positive, they would realize that there are a lot of positive things in them. There are lots of assets to them which can help them in further situations. Then the next technique is reflection of feelings. In paraphrasing, we actually reflect the facts, the content. But in reflection of feelings, we reflect feelings, the emotions. They have been telling you something उसका कुछ meaning होगा. There must be some emotions related to those things, but they are not directly saying that I am feeling this way or I am feeling that way. They are telling you different situations, different events of their life, but there must be some of the feelings connected with those situations. The story they are telling, there must be some of the feelings. So by this technique, you are actually reflecting their feelings. So counselors use this technique to show their clients that they are fully aware of the feelings that their client is experiencing. And also, it helps you to understand that, yes, you are not assuming, and you are understanding in the same way in which the client is feeling. So this also clarifies. When you say something that, yes, it must be very hard for you, or you must be feeling this, it means, or it means that you were feeling sad after the situation. When you say this, the client may say, no, I didn't feel sad, I feel hurt. Right? So this will help you to clarify the feelings of the client. You may say, oh, that must be very depressing for you. No, it was not depressing, it was just sad, but it was frustrating. So this way, reflection of feelings will help you as a counselor to get to know the genuine feelings of the client. Next one is miracle questioning. So this is a very famous technique. You all must know. Can you write in the chat box what is miracle questioning? Or anyone, if possible, can unmute and tell me what is miracle questioning.
Ma'am, miracle questioning is something that we can ask a client that in like someday if you just get up and this problem, if it doesn't exist, how will you feel?
Okay. Yes. Good.
It's something like the name itself emphasizes that
Yes.
kind of miracle it happens
Yes.
in your life. That in case this problem is not in existence, what will be your feelings about it?
Yes, true. So we asked this, we framed the question in a way that suppose one day you were sleeping and some miracle has happened and every problem has been solved. Each and every problem you have been facing now has been solved. But as you were sleeping, you didn't get to know. So what is the first thing you will notice which will help you to understand and to know after waking up that the miracle has happened? Or who would be the people around you? How would the things around you look like? How would you get to know what are the different changes in the things around you which will get to know or help you to know that the miracle has already happened? Okay, this is how we ask the miracle questioning. And generally, this question is asked to understand what exactly the client wants. It is also used as a goal setting technique to set goals. It means this is what the client wants. Miracle question पूछने के बाद client जो बताते हैं, इसका मतलब problem solve होने के बाद वो ये चाहते हैं. They want this kind of thing. We can even add more details to it. We can ask, like, what is your body posture? What are your facial expressions? What are the people around you? When you look at the mirror, what are you doing? What are your facial expressions? Okay, so we can add further details to it to understand more about what exactly the client wants. So इसका मतलब अभी वो miracle हुआ नहीं है, but अगर हो जाता है, if all the problems have been solved, so ये है जो client चाहते हैं. And that would become the goal of the session. Now, the next technique is stages of change. This is important to evaluate the progress of the counseling session. By assessing a client's needs, a counselor can determine the changes that need to occur for their client. We have already assessed the client's needs. What are the needs of the client? Now the client's counselor's task is to determine the changes which are needed for the client so that the client can fulfill their needs? And when should they take place? What is the need and when should they take place? And this can be determined by what they believe to be most important. So we can make a hierarchy of the needs. And then we can also write when do they want them. This is the need, when do they want them. So on the basis of priority, we'll work on it. Make sense? Is it clear? If there is any confusion in any technique, please do ask. Next one is trustworthiness. It's very important to show that it's a trustworthy environment in which the client and counselor are sitting. The client should be able to trust their counselor. If that trust is not developed, then it would be very difficult to proceed with the counseling session. I'll tell you about one of my clients. She was a lady, and she was a lady of around 52-year-old, and she called me and asked me if I would be able to take her session. First of all, she asked about my qualifications. I told her. Then she asked about my age. I asked her, okay, why are you asking such questions? Then she said that, would you be able to take my session? I am like a 52-year-old woman. Do you have kids? And what is your age? Have you ever dealt with clients who are 52-year-old? So I told her that we have been trained to deal with clients who are of different ages, and I have been working with clients who are above 50 also. What is that thing which is worrying you in booking the session? She said, yes, I saw everything. So I want to book the session, but I am just worried about this thing that you are young. Would you be able to understand the things which I am going through? So this was her worry. She was not able to trust. And you won't believe, she booked the session after 1.5 months later. She has been searching about me, how I am going to take session. She searched a lot about me, and she told all of this in the first session. And within 10 minutes, we were able to build rapport. She was able to trust. And then she revealed lots of things from her life, which she has not revealed to anyone. And that happens because she was able to trust. And that trust has come after a long time. She told me that I have been searching about you. I saw your profile here, 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 here. I read about you from here, here, here. Everything she has been telling. Okay. And then finally, during the session also, in the first time when she came, she was like again asking, so if I tell anything, is there anybody else around who is listening to us? So will my session be recorded? I said, no, not at all. Is there any camera? Everything she has been asking. Everything. So after that, she was able to search. We successfully had more sessions also. So that trust you need to gain that trust from your client. That is very important. If that trust is not like made in initial sessions, it would be very, very, very difficult to proceed with the sessions. So now the next technique is capping. Have you ever heard about this technique, capping? Capping. Capping involves changing a conversation's direction from emotional to cognitive. If the counselor feels their client's emotions need to be calmed or regulated. Every time you cannot tell them to calm down, or every time you cannot use relaxation training when they are overwhelmed during the sessions. During that time, what we do is we cap it. We cap the emotional part with cognitive ones. We talk about cognitive things so that they are able to get redirected. This is how the counselor calm down the emotions of the client. They help them regulate their emotions. Every time if they talk about emotional thing, then they won't be able to think something which can help them in future. So that is when we use capping technique. Then working alliance. Next technique. Creating a working alliance between a counselor and their client is essential for a successful counseling environment that will work to achieve the client's needs. Client genuinely must understand and believe that yes, when I would be coming into the session with this counselor, he or she would help me collaboratively to work through my problem. So this technique involves the client and therapist being active collaborators during counseling and agreeing upon goals of treatment that are necessary as well as how to achieve those goals. So both should work together in a collaborative way, in a genuine way. Counselor should also show genuineness that yes, I'm ready to work with you. And it should not be like the counselor is dictating everything or client is telling everything what to do. No, they both need to work together. This is a very important technique. When you ask about the goals or anything which you are working on from the client, and then you genuinely does this as a collaborator, it will have a different effect. Other technique is Proximix. This technique has the counselor study the spatial movements and conditions of communication that their client exhibits. By studying their client's body orientation, the counselor can determine mood, feelings, and reactions. Okay, so these proximics are also very important. The spatial moments, how are they moving? How are they communicating? What is the tone in which they are communicating? Body orientation, how they are sitting. They would be able to get to know a lot of things about the client, about their mood, feelings, and reactions. Next technique is self-disclosure. You all know that counselors are prohibited to disclose their information. But there are times when counselor had to use self-disclosure technique. We use self-disclosure technique when we think that other techniques are not working. And by giving this information, this part of information from my life, my client would get benefited. Then we do this self-disclosure. Okay, every time if you are using self-disclosure with the client, that is not acceptable. It is to be used only when other techniques are not working and you think that this disclosure will definitely benefit my client. Then only we share the information, and not the whole life, but only the part of information which will help the client. Next is structuring. When the individual enters counseling, counselors should discuss the agenda for the day with their client, the activities, the processes that they will go through. So all the structuring needs to be discussed with the client. उनको अंधेरे में नहीं रखा जाता कि कितने सेशंस होंगे, कैसे होगा, हम क्या करेंगे. Even you can tell कि हम क्या करने वाले हैं, किस तरह की टेक्निक्स, कौन सी थेरेपीज हम यूज करने वाले हैं, एक्टिविटीज होंगी तो किस तरह की एक्टिविटीज होंगी. सो हम उनको वो सारी चीजें बताते हैं. वी इवन टेल कि हाँ, हम आपके रूटीन में भी चेंजेस कर सकते हैं, हम आपको ऐसा आपको करना पड़ सकता है. यू माइट हैव टू कीप अ जर्नल ऑल्सो, यू माइट हैव टू राइट द डायरी, यू माइट हैव टू कुछ भी जो आप करने वाले हो आगे वो आप उसमें लिख सकते हो. आफ्टर लिसनिंग टू द फर्स्ट सेशन एटलीस्ट, देन ओनली यू विल गेट एन आइडिया कि व्हाट ऑल टेक्निक्स यू कैन यूज विद देम. उनको हम स्ट्रक्चरिंग बताते हैं ताकि उनको पता चले कि क्या करना है. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई आफ्टर टेलिंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स आई ऑल्सो टेल देम कि वी आर गोइंग टू हैव वीकली सेशंस एंड देन slowly I'll increase the time. Instead of weekly, we can have 3 sessions in a month, then 2 sessions in a month, then maybe we have monthly sessions, and then maybe we have 3-month session. हम terminate करके follow up sessions ही रखें. So this is how I tell my clients. This is called structuring. Then hierarchy of needs. It's important, very important. It involves the counselor assessing their client's level of needs as based on the progress that they are making. The client may tell you about their needs, lot of their needs. So we need to make a hierarchy of their needs. Yes, physiological needs, safety needs, love and belongingness needs, self-esteem needs, and self-actualization. All the needs of the client need to be categorized into these five. All these will determine if change needs to take place in counseling or not. So hierarchy of needs is important. Sometimes what happens, clients are so much involved in getting or satisfying their lower level needs that they don't think about other needs which they have. So this is the reason we make a hierarchy and work accordingly. Fine. So these are some of the small techniques, counseling techniques, which will definitely help you during the counseling session. You might know already many of the techniques, but maybe you have not used it in a way that they are the techniques to be used. Because we counselors generally fall into using therapies for the intervention. But believe me, these small techniques which we have discussed, lots of techniques we have discussed today, more than 20 techniques. These are going to be wonderful techniques, and you don't have to rely always on the therapies. Right? Therapeutic techniques plus these counseling techniques will help you a lot. So if you have any question, please do ask. You can unmute and ask one by one.
Good evening, ma'am. This is Afra here. Ma'am, first of all, it was a wonderful session. I really learned a lot. So, ma'am, may I know how do we cap the conversation?
Cap the conversation from emotional to cognitive, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, give me an example about something which the client is sharing about something emotions, which involves emotion.
Okay, ma'am. So, one of my client shared me about how her husband has cheated her.
Okay.
So, how do we cap?
Okay, husband has cheated her. So, any example, any filled with emotion?
Maybe due to stress, I couldn't study. School child cries, a 12th standard.
Okay, so okay, suppose your client is saying that I am totally sad during the whole day. I was just thinking about what he would do, and he has been so rude to me. I was just feeling so bad regarding this. So she's talking about all the emotions when she's sharing about different situations. Now you can ask her, okay, I understand that you have been hurt from your husband, or husband has did this. Now, what can be done? What is that thing which we can do which will help you to solve your problem? Getting this? Make sense?
So we are making her to think.
Making her to think. Am I audible? I hope I am audible. Hi everyone. Am I audible? I'm so sorry, there was a power cut. So
Yes, ma'am, you're audible now.
thank you so much. You can please ask your question.
Ma'am, I do have another question regarding the miracle questioning.
Yeah.
So if I ask my client, like, what could you do if some miracle had happened and all your pain and sorrows had gone, or the problems would have solved. He could say that I could be relaxed and live peacefully. How does that help with goal setting?
Okay, so when she says that, when the client says that it could help me relax and peace and will provide me peace, then it means the client wants relaxation and peaceful. Then you can ask, okay, so you want to be relaxed and you want peace when your problem gets. What is? Can you please
Because of
elaborate?
the
What is
network issue.
Am I not audible?
Voice is breaking, ma'am.
Okay. Can we? Okay. So there is a power cut. I am connecting with my mobile data, so there must be some problem. So in whatever groups you are, please drop your questions there. I'll answer there if because there is a genuine problem. So please do drop your questions in the groups, and I'll answer there. Is it fine?